The rain was falling hard that night. Thunder rolled across the sky like drums of war. Lightning flashed again and again, lighting up the lonely house at the edge of the human colony. Inside, John Keller sat alone. His hands were strong, but his eyes were tired. He was a former space soldier now living in silence. His past was full of war, pain, and death. He had come here far from Earth to forget everything. A small fire burned in the corner. John took a sip of warm drink. He closed his eyes for a moment. Then, someone knocked on the door. His eyes opened quickly. Another knock, this time louder. Not one, but two. Then three soft knocks, like a code, like someone afraid or desperate. John stood up and walked to the door. He picked up his old plasma knife from the wall, just in case. He opened the door slowly, and there stood an alien woman. She had silver blue skin. Her hair was dark and wet from the rain. Her long eyes glowed softly in the dark. Her clothes were torn. Her hands were shaking. But she was not alone. Three small alien children stood behind her, cold, scared, looking up at John with wide eyes. The woman looked at him and said with a trembling voice, "I will warm your bed, human. Please, my children need a father." John froze. He had seen many things in his life, battlefields, broken ships, dying stars, but never this. The rain hit harder, the wind howled, but everything around him became quiet. "What did you say?" John asked, confused. The woman lowered her head. "I am sorry, I don't want to be your partner. Not like that. I just need help. Shelter, food, safety." I had no other words. That's the phrase I found in human language files. John looked at the children. Their small hands were wrapped around each other. One of them was shaking from cold. He stepped aside. "Come in," he said. They entered. The firelight danced on their faces. The children looked around the room with wonder. One of them smiled for the first time. John gave them blankets. The woman helped dry them. She was gentle, like a mother, but her eyes never stopped scanning. The room, the door, the shadows. "Name?" John asked her. She replied softly, "Sarentha. I come from planet Reicher 3, but I don't belong there anymore." John gave her a cup of hot drink. "Why are you here?" Sarentha took a deep breath. "I was married to a human soldier. He died in the Xylon War, 3 years ago." John's hand stopped midair. "The Xylon War? I was there." She nodded. "I was on your side. Many of us were, but after the war, my people called us traitors. They hunted us." She looked at her children. "They will kill my children next, because they are mixed." John stared at the kids. Their skin was pale blue, but their eyes were human. No doubt. Suddenly, the youngest child turned to the fire, and it rose, high, without warning. John jumped up. Sarentha rushed over. "No! Control it, Dran. Breathe, like I taught you." The fire calmed. John's heart was racing. "What was that?" he asked. Sarentha looked at him, serious now. "They have gifts, from both bloodlines, and that's why others fear them." Outside, the wind cried again. John locked the door, tight. "You can stay tonight," he said. "But if someone's hunting you, they might come here." Sarentha's voice was steady. "They will, sooner or later." John looked at her. "Why me? Why my door?" She replied, "Because your brother told me, if I was ever in danger and he was gone, I should find you. He said you would understand." John froze again. "My brother?" "Yes," she said. "Michael Keller." John sat down slowly. The fire crackled between them. His brother was gone, killed in the war, but he had never known about this. Sarentha put her hand gently on his. "I didn't lie. I just waited too long." Suddenly, outside, something moved in the trees, a shadow. Sarentha stood, her eyes glowing again. "They found us," John grabbed his plasma knife. Get the kids behind the wall. Now. The children were hiding behind a steel wall in the corner of the cabin. Their eyes, wide, silent, breathing fast. Outside something moved again. A quick shadow across the window, like a ghost in the storm. John stood near the door, holding his plasma knife tightly. Zarentha was next to him, calm, focused, her body ready for a fight. She didn't look like a helpless mother anymore. John whispered, "You said they'd come. Who are they?" Zarentha replied, "They are hunters, my people, the Rishari. Send them to track rebels like me. Anyone who supports humans is a traitor to them. And your children, they call them impure. They fear their power." John glanced toward the children. One of them, the middle child, had closed her eyes. Her fingers were glowing faint blue. Zarentha noticed. "No, Yira, not now. Stay calm." John opened a small window near the roof and peeked outside. No one. But the trees weren't moving with the wind anymore. Too still. "They're close," Zarentha whispered. Suddenly, a loud thump hit the side wall of the cabin. The children screamed. John ran to them, placed a finger on his lips. "Stay down. Don't move." Another thump, closer now. Something heavy circling the house. John turned to Zarentha. "Do you have a weapon?" She nodded. From under her coat, she pulled out a thin metal rod. With one press, it expanded into a glowing staff. "Alien technology. You know how to use that?" She smirked. "I used to lead a rebel squad." The door creaked. The latch moved, slowly. John raised his plasma knife, but the door didn't open. Instead, a strange voice echoed from outside. Metallic. Cold. "Zarentha, surrender the children. You were warned." John looked at her. Zarentha shouted back, "I won't let monsters raise them to become killers." There was silence, then, boom. The door exploded inward. A large figure stepped through the smoke. 7 feet tall. Heavy armor. Masked face. Rishari enforcer. John rushed forward and stabbed with his knife, but it bounced off the armor. The enforcer grabbed John and threw him across the room. Zarentha screamed and attacked with her staff. The rod glowed and shot out a beam of white energy, hitting the enforcer's mask. It cracked. The creature growled, but more shadows appeared outside. 2 more enforcers. John got back up, blood on his lip. He grabbed his emergency switch and slammed it. "Alert sent to colony guards, but they'll take time to arrive," he said, coughing. "The HFY." Kids were crying now, then something happened. The youngest child, Dren, ran toward the enforcer and raised his hand. His eyes were glowing bright. "No!" Zarentha shouted. But it was too late. A sudden wave of invisible energy blasted from the child, like a shock wave. The enforcer screamed and flew back through the wall, crashing into a tree outside. Everyone went silent. Even the storm paused. Zarentha ran to Dren, held him close. "You must not use that power unless I say so." John looked at the broken wall. "He's just a child. How?" Zarentha nodded. "They are not like other children. The Rishari did not expect human DNA to blend this way. Their powers come from emotion. If they get scared, angry, they can destroy cities." John sat down, still catching his breath. "You were more than a rebel, weren't you?" Zarentha looked at the fire and said nothing. Finally, she spoke. "I was a scientist before the war. I worked on genetics. I believed we could unite our races. Build peace," John whispered. "You tried to create hybrid children?" She nodded. "But the government found out. They banned the research, called it poison. They killed the others. Only I escaped, with the help of your brother." John's face hardened. "He saved me," she said. "Michael hid the children and gave his life protecting them. Before he died, he told me, 'If I don't make it, find my brother. He will finish what I couldn't.'" John stood silently for a moment. The fire cracked softly in the background. He remembered Michael's last message, years ago. "There's hope out there, Johnny," he had said. "Something better than war." John looked at Zarentha, at the kids, at the broken wall. "I never thought I'd raise anyone again," he muttered. She smiled faintly. "You won't be alone. But if we stay here, more will come." He nodded. "Then we don't stay." He stood up. "Pack light. We leave at first light. I know a place." Zarentha raised an eyebrow. "Where?" John looked out into the dark forest. "The old human outpost beyond Ridge 9. They shut it, down after the war. But if the systems still work, we can hide there." Zarentha looked at the kids. "Then we leave. But you must know. Once we go, there's no turning back." John placed his hand on the boy's shoulder. "I never turn back." Outside, one of the fallen enforcers twitched, his mask blinking red. A signal was sent. Far away in space, another ship opened its eyes. The night sky was still dark when they left the cabin. John carried a heavy backpack. Zarentha walked ahead holding Yira's hand, while Dren and the smallest one, Luno, followed close. They moved through the thick forest quietly. Only the soft sound of leaves and distant thunder filled the air. Behind them, the broken cabin stood like a grave, smoke rising from the destroyed wall. The enforcer's body was gone. Someone had taken it. John's eyes scanned the trees. "They didn't just leave," he said. "They're watching." Zarentha nodded. "They always watch." The group crossed a shallow stream and followed an old trail, overgrown but still faintly marked by yellow human signs. After hours of walking, they reached a steep hill. At the top, an old metal tower peeked through the trees. John pointed. "We're close." The outpost, the building was silent. Rust covered the gates. A faded human flag flapped weakly in the wind. The entrance scanner was broken, so John used a manual override. The doors opened with a slow hiss. Inside, dust covered everything. Old screens, cracked chairs, forgotten weapons. The place had not seen life in years, but it still had power. Zarentha activated a wall panel. Emergency system still running. Good. The kids sat down, tired. Luno fell asleep instantly. Dren looked around, curious. "Is this a human battle? Base?" John shook his head. "No. It was a research outpost. My brother worked here before the war. He studied alien languages and tech." Zarentha looked at him. "He never told me that." John opened a hidden compartment behind a bookshelf. Inside was a metal case with his brother's name on it, Michael Keller. He placed it on the table. Inside were files, photos, and something unexpected. A data pad with a glowing message. Zarentha picked it up and read the words out loud. "If you're reading this, it means I'm gone. But they're still after the children. Protect them, and trust no one. Not even humans." John looked at her. "What does that mean?" Zarentha stared at the pad. "There's more going on than we knew." Secrets in the walls. While the kids rested, John and Zarentha explored the outpost. They found a hidden lab in the lower level, locked by old security codes. John entered his brother's birthday. The door opened. Inside were test chambers, broken machines, DNA tanks, and files marked classified hybrid studies. John picked up a dusty tablet. It showed images of Raishari children with glowing eyes. Human doctors observing them. Zarentha's hands shook. "These files, they were experimenting before I even began my research." "You weren't the first?" John asked. "No," she said, "but I thought I was. They lied to us. They used our science for weapons." Suddenly a voice echoed from the corner. "Welcome, John Keller." A small robot powered on, old and damaged but still functioning. "I am Unit 9 of Project Ear. You have security access." John asked, "What was this project?" The robot replied, "Human evolution through interrace, crossbreeding humans with Rishari to produce next-gen soldiers." Zarentha gasped. They wanted to use the children as weapons. John's jaw tightened. My brother never mentioned this. He must have hidden it. The robot turned. Michael Keller tried to shut down the project. He stole subjects, went rogue, targeted by both sides. John whispered, "That's why they killed him, the power within." That night, John sat near the kids. Dren stared at a broken console. Without touching it, the screen lit up. Glowing symbols moved across it. John asked, "How did you do that?" Dren looked up. "I don't know. Sometimes I just feel the machine's mind, and it listens." John stood slowly. "Your father was human. Your mother is Rishari. But you're something new." Zarentha joined them. "He is not the only one. Yira can feel danger before it comes. Luno can heal small wounds." John said, "And that's why they're hunted, not just for fear, but because they're powerful." Zarentha sat beside him. "What do we do now?" John looked at the files, the robot, the cold walls. "We train them. We prepare. If they want to take the children, they'll have to come through me." A voice from the dark later that night. John went outside alone. The stars were clear now. The storm had passed. But in the trees, he felt it. He wasn't alone. He turned slowly. A man stepped out, wearing human armor. A soldier, but his eyes were cold. "Wrong." "Hello, John," the man said. "You've been busy." John raised his weapon. "Who are you?" The man smiled. "The ones after the children are not only aliens. We're humans too. The project lives, and we want our weapons back." John stepped forward. "They're not weapons, they're kids." The man tilted his head. "Then protect them. Let's see how long you last." He vanished into the shadows. John returned to the outpost, heart pounding. Zarentha saw his face. "Someone found us?" she asked. He nodded. "Yes, but not Rishari." She frowned. "Then who?" John looked at the sleeping children. "The real enemy is within our own kind." The outpost was no longer safe. John stood near the cracked window, watching the sunrise through the trees. He hadn't slept all night. His mind was racing. The man from last night, a human soldier, not Rishari, had found them. That changed everything. "We're not just running from aliens anymore," he whispered. "We're being hunted by our own people." Behind him, the children were still sleeping. Zarentha quietly packed supplies into a small bag. Her eyes were tired, but her movements were sharp and fast. "We need to move," she said. "They'll come during the day. Always do, when the sun hides the sensors." John nodded. "I know a place, but it's not marked on maps. It was wiped after the war." Zarentha looked at him. "Where?" He turned toward her, voice low. "The Forbidden Zone." What is the Forbidden Zone? The Forbidden Zone was once a human weapons testing field, hidden deep inside alien territory. After a terrible explosion destroyed 3 cities, the zone was declared cursed. Machines stopped working there. People who entered often never came back, but John knew the truth. "There's an old bunker," he said. "My brother told me about it. Shielded, deep underground, built for emergencies. That's where he hid after stealing the children." Zarentha hesitated. "But the zone is unstable. The kids, they'll be safe," John cut her off. "It's the only place they won't be followed." Into the wild by midday they were moving again. The forest grew darker the deeper they went. Strange plants glowed under the trees. Birds didn't sing here. Even the air felt heavier. Dren walked close to John. "Uncle John," he whispered. "This place feels wrong." John looked at him. "That's the point." Suddenly, Yira stopped, her eyes wide. "What is it?" Zarentha asked. Yira pointed at a bush. "Something's there." John raised his weapon, but before he could shoot, a small furry creature jumped out and ran away. They all laughed nervously. But deep inside, John knew this place was hiding more than animals. The zone reacts. As they entered the border of the Forbidden Zone, their wrist trackers stopped working. John's compass spun in circles. Zarentha's communicator went silent. "It's starting," she said. The children began to feel it too. Dren held his head. "Voices. I hear them whispering." Zarentha knelt beside him. "It's just the energy fields. Keep your mind calm." But something strange began happening. Luno touched a dying tree, and it bloomed. Flowers opened. Leaves grew in seconds. Zarentha gasped. "He's healing the forest?" John stared. "This zone affects machines, not life. The children, they are more than just hybrids. They're becoming one with nature," she said, and that scared her. The bunker at last, they found it. Half buried under stone and roots was a metal hatch, covered in warning signs: danger, biological lockdown. John brushed off the dirt and entered a code. Nothing happened. He sighed. "Power's dead." Dren stepped forward. "Let me try." He placed his hand on the metal. For a moment, nothing. Then, a faint blue light glowed from his fingers and the door hissed open. John blinked. "What the hell?" Dren smiled. "It said hello to me." Inside, the bunker was dark but dry. Cold air wrapped around them like a ghost. Emergency lights flickered on as they entered. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. Zarentha looked at the walls. "These are old human markings, but this place was never listed in colony records," John answered, "because they didn't want it found." Hidden truths. Inside the main room, they found a sealed chamber. John broke it open. Inside were cryotubes, 7 of them. Empty now, broken glass. Old blood. Zarentha picked up a file. Test subject, XH1, status unstable. Memory wiped, subject escaped. John read aloud. "They created more hybrids before your children." Zarentha looked at him. "Where are they now?" John frowned. "Escaped, or dead, or worse." Yura touched the wall. "They're still here, somewhere." A silent guest that night after everyone fell asleep, John stayed on guard. But something felt wrong. He checked the hallways. Nothing. Then he found it. A shoe print. Small. Fresh. Not his. He turned quickly. Shadows danced behind him. He grabbed his knife and followed the prints down a hallway. At the end, he found a small locked room. He opened it slowly. Inside was a figure, sitting in the dark. A girl, about 13 years old. Pale blue skin, human eyes, dirty clothes. She looked up at John. "You're not one of them," she said. John stepped back, shocked. "Who are you?" She smiled faintly. "I'm XH1. You came to my home." John stood frozen in the doorway. The girl's eyes glowed softly in the darkness. Her voice was calm, but it sent chills down his spine. "I'm XH1, she said. "You woke up my home." John stepped forward carefully. "You've been here all this time?" She nodded. "Since the war. They left me behind when the project ended." Her skin was pale. Her face looked human, but her body gave off a quiet energy. She didn't blink. She didn't seem scared. Zarentha appeared behind John, aiming her stun stick. "Who is she?" she asked quickly. The girl turned toward her. "Another mother of experiments." Zarentha's hand shook slightly. "That's not what I am." The girl tilted her head. "Maybe not. But your children, they are like me." The lost files inside. The small room, XH1 showed them a hidden terminal. It had files, old human military data. John wiped dust off the screen. The file name, Project Genesis, Hybrid Evolution. He opened it. Videos played, doctors speaking into cameras. Subject XH1 shows signs of telepathy, memory storage, and extreme survival instinct. Her emotions are limited. She does not cry, she does not sleep, she learns too fast. Another log appeared. XH1 escaped containment on day 389, killed 2 guards, chose to return. Reason? Unknown. John's throat felt dry. Zarentha whispered, "She's not just a child. She's a living weapon." But the girl smiled. "I don't want to hurt you. I only protected this place." John stared at her. "Then why stay?" She looked at the children outside through a crack in the door. "Because I thought I was the last one. Until they came." Secrets behind the smile. Later, the children played quietly in the bunker's main hall. XH1 sat near them, watching like a silent protector. Luno handed her a toy. She took it and smiled for the first time. John sat beside Zarentha in the control room. "She doesn't act dangerous," he said. Zarentha replied, "She's trained." That smile was practiced. Her brain works like a machine, but her heart, it's locked. She's still a kid. "She's more than that," Zarentha said. "She's what they wanted all hybrids to be, cold, smart, obedient. My children are the opposite. Warm, messy, full of feelings. That's why they're dangerous. Emotion gives power, uncontrolled power." John leaned forward. "We need to teach them control." Zarentha nodded. "Before someone else tries, to teach them war." A sudden shift that night, the alarms rang. John ran to the front hallway. The outside scanners had picked up movement. 3 life forms, the system said. Approaching fast, John grabbed his weapon. Zarentha held the kids close. XH1 stepped in front of them. "I'll handle it." John grabbed her shoulder. "No killing." She looked at him. "I only hurt when I must." The visitors from the forest. 3 people stepped out. Not Rishari. Humans, dressed in colony armor, holding weapons high. John raised his weapon. "Stop there." One of the men lowered his hood. "Lieutenant Harris, Earth Forces. We're not here to fight." John didn't trust him. "What do you want?" Harris looked past him at the children. "To protect them. The colony has learned of their location. A strike team is coming. We can help you escape." Zarentha's eyes narrowed. "Why would humans help hybrids?" The soldier hesitated. "Because not all of us agree with the experiments. Some of us believe these kids could be the future." John asked. "And the others?" Harris answered coldly. "They want to dissect them, weaponize them, or erase them completely." Zarentha held her children close. "We'll leave at sunrise," John said. "Until then, no one gets inside." Harris nodded. "We'll wait. But don't take too long. They're coming with fire." XH1's choice. After the humans left, XH1 sat beside John. "You don't trust them." "I don't trust anyone who hides guns behind smiles." She nodded. "They used to smile like that before they locked me in a cage." John looked at her. "Why did you come back?" She was quiet. Then she whispered, "Because I still hoped someone would come for me." John didn't say anything, but inside, something broke. He looked at her and said, "No one should grow up thinking they were a mistake." She smiled again, but this time it looked real. A power awakens that night. Luno woke up screaming. His hands were glowing gold. His eyes rolled back. The ground began to shake. Zarentha rushed to him. "He's seeing something." John grabbed him. "What is it?" Luno pointed at the sky. "They're coming. In ships. Big ones." Suddenly, a vision flashed in all their minds. Giant carriers entering orbit. Rishari forces and human warcraft flying side by side. John's voice shook. "They've teamed up?" Zarentha gasped. "No, they've united against us." XH1 looked. "Then there's no more running. Preparing for war." The next morning, John stood at the bunker gate with a map. He pointed at a mountain range beyond the zone. "There's a high ridge. If we reach it, we can hide the children deeper. Harder to detect, but it's risky." XH1 stepped forward. "I can lead the way. I know every tunnel." Zarentha hesitated. "She's not ready." John looked at both of them. "None of us are ready, but we move now, or we die here." They packed fast. John looked at his group. 2 hybrid boys, a psychic girl, a powerful experiment, and a mother from another world. "This isn't a family," he said quietly. "It's a rebellion." The sky turned red at sunrise. Thick black. Smoke rose from the forest far behind them. John watched it quietly from a cliff edge. His jaw was tight, hand on his rifle. "They've burned the outpost," he said. "It's gone." Zarentha stepped beside him, her cloak wrapped around. Luno, who still looked weak after the vision, XH1 stood behind them, quiet and alert. Her eyes moved like radar, scanning the hills, the sky, the trees. "We need to keep moving," she said flatly. "They're not far behind." John nodded. "Another hour through these cliffs and we'll reach the hidden pass." But danger wasn't behind them. It was already walking with them, a strange signal. They continued deeper into the mountain path. Cold winds howled through sharp rocks. Dren kept asking questions. "Are they still chasing us? Will they hurt Mom? Will we be safe?" John kept answering with strength he didn't feel. "We'll protect you, all of you." Suddenly, XH1 stopped. She pointed toward a large stone wall covered in moss. "There's a tunnel here. It leads to the lower valley. A shortcut." Zarentha frowned. "How do you know?" XH1 touched the wall. "I've seen it in my mind. This place speaks to me." John gave her a nod. "We follow your lead." But behind them, a tracker light blinked. Someone had activated a signal beacon, a shocking truth. They stopped to rest inside a natural cave just beyond the tunnel. Zarentha lit a small fire. The children huddled around it. XH1 walked away for a moment. John followed. "You okay?" he asked. She turned. Her voice was colder than usual. "I feel strange. My thoughts are not my own lately." John studied her. "You don't trust yourself." She shook her head. "I was trained to obey. Somewhere deep inside, that code still exists." John stepped closer. "You're free now." She looked at him. "Then why do I feel like I'm leading you into a trap?" Before John could answer, the fire behind them exploded. Smoke, screams, a blinding red light. John ran back. 3 armored soldiers had dropped from the sky. Human armor. Colony gear. One grabbed Dren. Another pointed a weapon at Zarentha. The third dragged XH1 to the ground. "You activated the beacon," the lead soldier shouted. "Thanks for bringing them right to us." Zarentha cried out. "John! The children!" But John was already moving, fire and betrayal. John shot the first soldier in the chest, the armor cracked. The man fell back. XH1 kicked the second soldier in the head, knocking off his helmet, revealing Lieutenant Harris. "You lied," John growled. Harris smirked. "I told you we'd help you escape. I never said where." He pressed a button on his wrist. A red pulse shot into the sky. "Now the Raishari know too," he whispered. "Let them fight over the kids. We'll take the winner." XH1 grabbed his arm and snapped it. Harris screamed. "Enough lies," she said. "You're finished." But it was too late. Far in the sky, giant Rishari ships began to descend, their war horns echoing through the clouds. The cost of protection, John carried Luno, who had passed out from shock. Dren and Yira ran behind him. Zarentha fought off the last soldier but was badly wounded. They escaped through the side tunnel, XH1 covering their exit, blasting rocks behind her to block the path. Once safe, they stopped inside an ancient alien, ruin walls glowing faintly covered in unknown symbols. Zarentha collapsed. Blood stained her side. John knelt beside her. "You'll be okay." She grabbed his arm. "No. You must lead now. Promise me." John shook his head. "We all lead together." Zarentha looked at the children. "They must learn to survive without me, even without you." XH1 stepped forward. "I'll protect them." Zarentha stared at her, eyes hard. "You're the one who called them." XH1's voice trembled. "I didn't mean to. It was built into me. A code. When I found others like me, it activated. John realized XH1 had been used like a weapon without knowing it, a sleeper tool. The awakening Yira suddenly screamed. Her hands glowed pink. The walls around them pulsed. She's seeing something, John said. Yira whispered, the Raishari aren't just after us. They want to create more of us. A whole army. John looked at XH1. Is it true? She nodded slowly. The original plan was never just 7 hybrids. It was 1,000. They want to restart the project. John stood. Not on my watch. Picked up his rifle. Looked at his broken team. An injured alien mother. A hybrid girl full of fear. A soldier child who betrayed herself. And a boy with power he didn't understand. This is not the end, he said. This is where we make a stand. Final preparation that night, they built traps along the edge of the ruins. XH1 rewired an old alien weapon. Dren charged small stones with his mind. Yira created a mental shield around the younger brother. Zarentha lay resting, eyes half open, smiling weakly. You did good, John, she whispered. You became what they feared, a father who fights. John sat beside her. I'm not just fighting for them. I'm fighting for every mistake we ever made. For every child who was used like a tool. She took his hand, then burned their plans to the ground. The sun rose behind thick clouds. A strange silence covered the valley ruins, as if the world was holding its breath. John stood at the edge of the ruins, looking down at the narrow path where enemy ships were expected to land. His armor was old, scratched and half-broken, but he wore it like a true soldier. Beside him stood Dren, Yira, Luno, and XH1. Zarentha sat on a stone bench, her side bandaged. She was too weak to fight, but her eyes never stopped watching her children. They're coming, XH1 said softly. From both sides, humans and Rishari. John nodded. Let them come. The first wave, the first sound was a low hum. A Rishari warship flew low, shaking the ground. Dropships fell like dark birds. From the sky. From the other side, human armored vehicles rolled in, cutting through the forest. 2 armies. One goal. To take the children. John looked down at the kids. This is it. If we fall, the world gets worse. If we stand, we prove they were wrong to call you weapons. Yira stepped forward. We're not weapons, Dren added. We're family. XH1 looked at John. Then I fight for my family. The battle begins. The first Rishari squad reached the ruins. Their energy rifles glowed. But before they could fire, Dren sent a wave of force, slamming them into the wall. Yira raised her hands. A glowing shield surrounded the group, protecting them from human sniper shots. XH1 moved like a ghost, fast, sharp, deadly. Her eyes burned with fury. She took down 2 armored men in seconds. John fought like the soldier he once was. Calm, brave, ruthless. His rifle spoke with fire. Zarentha watched as her children worked together, not as weapons, but as protectors. Face to face, a familiar voice echoed across the battlefield. Stand down, Keller. John turned. Lieutenant Harris stepped forward, burned but alive, leading a human strike team. You can't win, Harris shouted. They belong to us. John raised his gun. You don't own anyone. They're experiments. No, John said. They're children, and I'm their father now. With that, John shot the ground near Harris, releasing a hidden trap. Flames shot up, blocking the soldier's path. From the other side, a Rishari commander appeared, tall, covered in dark armor. We want only the girl, he said, pointing at Yira. She is the key. Yira stepped back in fear. I don't want to go. John stood in front of her. You're not taking her, the commander hissed. Then die. With them. The turning point just as both armies charged. Something changed. The air shimmered. The ground cracked. Luno, quiet, soft, and smallest, stepped forward. His eyes glowed golden. He raised his hands. and everything stopped. The bullets froze, mid-air. The ships halted. The wind stopped blowing. Luno floated slightly above the ground. "Stop hurting my family," he said in a calm voice. "No more fighting." Then, he lowered his hands, and all enemy weapons turned to dust. Everyone stared. Even XH1 gasped. "What did he do?" she whispered. Zarantha cried softly. "He rewrote the battlefield. The silence after war. The enemies backed off. Rishari ships left one by one. The human soldiers dropped their weapons and left in shame. Only Harris stayed." He looked at the children, broken and confused. "You could have killed us all." John walked over. "I could kill you now," he said. "But I want you to live with this truth. We didn't raise killers, you did." Harris didn't reply. He walked away silently. XH1 stood beside John. "It's over," she said. John shook his head. "No, it's just beginning. But now, we choose our path. Healing begins." Days passed. The group stayed hidden while the world adjusted. News spread. Some humans and Rishari began to speak out, asking for peace, asking to protect the children instead of using them. John spent his days teaching the kids, training them, talking to them. Zarantha slowly healed. She smiled more now. XH1, once cold and quiet, laughed for the first time when Luno told a joke. A family was forming in the ashes of war. One last message. John found a broken recorder in the ruins. He fixed it and played an old message left by his brother Michael. "If you're hearing this, Johnny, it means I didn't make it, but I know you. You won't run. You'll stand. You'll become something better than a soldier. You'll become what I could never be. A protector. A father." John wiped his eyes. He looked at the children. "I won't fail you," he said. "Not again." The final words that night, under a peaceful sky, Dren sat beside John. "Are you really our father now?" John smiled. "I don't know about blood, but I'll protect you, I'll teach you, I'll fight for you. That's what a father does." Yira joined. "You're not just a soldier. You're the father we needed." John nodded, and for the first time in years, he felt whole.